Hi guys, so today we are going to build this card. So these are the normal types of cards you find in a website whereby maybe you have your services and you want to list your services. Now, for instance, this one is a construction inquiry and it's like a service. So in a services section, you could have different types of cards and this one being it. And then you can have the list of the cards in a grid format. So let's see how we can create these using HTML and CSS. So the first thing I'm going to show you is that I have two files in my folder. I have the index.html and the style.css. The style.css is empty. So let's go to the index.html and link up the CSS file. So in the generated styles.css file name corresponds to our file name. The next thing is to go live using that project. You can see it's blank. So, and then the next thing is just creating the card. We can create a div with a class of card. And then we need an icon. So this icon that I'm using here, you can find it in my GitHub repository. You go to TikTok projects and let me just show you. So github.com/TechWithTwin/TikTok projects. And then inside the TikTok projects, you can see you should find the services v1. This is what you're looking at, services v1. Inside you'll find that icon. Right, so let's move out of there. I'm going to copy this icon to my folder. So let me grab it real quick. See and paste. The icon has been pasted. So the next thing is that you're going to start with the icon itself. So on the icon, you're going to use the image tag to display the icon. Inside the image, let's add the source as icon.png, which corresponds to the icon. You can see the icon, and if you open our folder, you'll see the icon here. Right, so the next thing is the alt. We can just say icon or maybe construction icon, but that's also okay. And let's use a heading tag and say construction service. I can use even the construction service name. If I go here, you can see it. And then finally, let's add the paragraph, which says we offer construction services across the country. And they reach out place and order. So that's it. And then you can see the whole text has been shown. So let's go to the CSS file. And the first thing in the CSS, I want to load the font. So how to load a font? You go to Google Fonts, then search for the font you want. Let me use another different font. Let me use Nonito font. After getting the font, click on Get Embed Code. You can see the Get Embed Code. Click on that, and then click Get Embed Code again. And let's edit. So we have Poppins. Let's remove Poppins. We're only left with one font family, which is Nonito, and then we also need to specify the weights. We don't need all the weights. You can take that. Let's grab everything from the Nonito. That's okay. Then go to the import, copy that link and paste it in our CSS. Then get out of the Google Fonts. Then the next thing is to add the default styles. So you have default styles for CSS. So one of it is a margin of 0 on all elements, padding of 0 on all elements, box sizing of border box. All right, and then you can see it's very nice there. The next thing, let's grab the body and give it some padding. Make sure the content is not too close to the edges. You can see now the content has been pushed. And then we want this card to be in the middle. So let me first style the card. We give it a class of card. Then let's say background color white. We don't need that because you're not even styling the background of the body. that will be useless. And then let's give it a width. I think this is the most important. Let's give it a width. You can see the width. Now let's place this in the middle. So we go back to the body and say justify content center. But on top, remember to use display flex. Now it is displayed. The next thing is to add some box shadow. So in box shadow, there is no need of cramming the box shadows by hand. You can go to search tools and add box shadows as you want. So this is what I did. I copied the box shadow. So go ahead and copy the box shadow you want. And then let's proceed. So after copying the box shadow, this is the box shadow I have now. Then you can see the card now looks raised. It looks very nice. The next thing you can see that this content is too close to the edges. That's why we need a padding. Then I can say a padding of something like 1.4 m. Then you can see now the content sits in the middle. It sits not in the middle, but it sits okay. The next thing is now border radius, 5 pixels. You can see the edges are too sharp. So we add a border radius to smoothen the corners. And also we need to put gap between these elements. So the best way to do it is just to use the flex. Let's say display flex direction of column, and then let's do some gap of maybe 0.4 m. And you can see the image is too large, so we can go back to the HTML, and inside the HTML let's add a width to the image. Width, let's do something like maybe 80, and the icon now respects the dimension it has been given. So I want to align these items to the center. Since you're using Flexbox, you can go ahead and say align items to the center. You can see the items are aligned in the center, but now the text is not aligned to the center. That's why we need the text align center. Now everything looks a bit nice as we wanted. Then we imported the font, but we never used the font. So we can come here and say font family, Nonito, and then sans serif. Now you can see the font changes. It looks a bit nice. And then finally, let's add some, you can see the finished version. The finished version, when you hover over the card, you can see some very nice animations or transitions. So what we can do now is to capture the card on the hover state. So you can say card hover. And then the first thing is to increase the box shadow. So go ahead and copy the box shadow we generated here. Copy that box shadow and increase the opacity. You can maybe go to 0.7. And then whenever you hover, the cursor should be pointer. And then transform. We want to scale it. Transform. So transforming means change. So we can change the scale. You can change the left, the right, all those. Now we can transform. So we can transform. So let's continue the scale. Let's not overthink about this. So we want to transform the scale. So you can see now I have options. So I have matrix, 3D, rotate X. We can rotate the card. Let me show you the rotate. So you can say rotate and then 23 degrees. So you can just do 23 degrees. And then whenever I go here, you can see now it is rotating. You can see the transition is too fast from these different states. That's why we need a transition. So we can say a transition. Let's do 0.2 seconds. So now if I hover, you can see now it is trying to maintain that hover state. But I don't care about the transform rotate. I want to use the scale. And then scale 1.0. And now if you hover, you can see now everything works as expected. So this is how you create such a card. Let me know in the comments which other tutorial would you like to know. And see you next.